Yeah, baby! Spank me! It's that high!
He also told me that when he gets nervous, he sometimes wets his pants. Thank you for your time.
Yes, and he was such a dork, and everyone laughed at me, but I didn't care because it was so funny.
American Pie from 1999 wasn't just a teen comedy, it was a pop culture earthquake.
Right this way, sir.
From the infamous pie scene to a cast of then unknown actors who became stars overnight, the movie pushed boundaries, broke taboos, and turned awkward high school moments into box office gold.
Perhaps you could help me with my studies.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great sometime.
But behind the laughs was a production filled with strange casting choices, risky creative calls,
I got company, if you know what I mean. She's hot.
and stories even die-hard fans have never heard. Here are 20 weird facts you didn't know about American Pie. Number 1. Great Falls of Fire. Before it became the household name we all know, American Pie almost went to theaters with a very different title, Great Falls. The name was a nod to the film's fictional high school in Great Falls, Michigan, and was meant to give the story a more grounded, small-town feel. But during early test screenings, audiences didn't just dislike the title, they hated it. Viewers felt it sounded bland, forgettable, and didn't capture the outrageous, boundary-pushing humor of the movie itself.
Hey, Minuteman. Shut up. You know, you're supposed to be supportive.
Hey, you think you still got a chance with Nadia?
The studio scrambled to rethink the branding, eventually landing on American Pie, a cheeky double meaning that perfectly summed up the film's mix of innocence and raunchy comedy. The new title not only grabbed attention, but instantly set the tone for the outrageous coming-of-age story audiences were about to see. Without that change, it's possible American Pie wouldn't have become the cultural phenomenon it is today. Number 2. No one wanted to direct the first movie. American Pie's path to the big screen wasn't exactly smooth, especially when it came to finding someone to direct it. Writer Adam Hertz banged out the script in just 6 weeks, originally giving it the outrageous working title Untitled Teenage Sex Comedy that can be made for under $10 million, that most readers will probably hate, but I think you will love. Yes, that was the actual title. The screenplay sold for a hefty $650,000 to $750,000, but the next step, getting a director, proved nearly impossible. Executive producer Craig Perry recalls approaching around 70 people, all of whom passed. In the end, it landed in the hands of brothers Chris and Paul Weitz. Chris later admitted nobody else wanted to direct it, literally nobody. Ironically, the film went on to become a massive hit, making all those early rejections look like a serious missed opportunity. Number 3. Eugene Levy hated the script and thought his character was creepy. Before he became one of the most beloved parts of American Pie, Eugene Levy nearly walked away from the role of Jim's dad entirely. When he first read the script, Levy was put off by its raunchy humor and thought the character bordered on downright creepy. His main concern? That Jim's dad would come across as a weirdo rather than a lovable, awkward parent.
It's like banging a tennis ball against a brick wall, which can be fun.
Determined to change that, Levy negotiated with the filmmakers to improvise most of his lines, softening the character's tone and injecting him with genuine warmth. The result was a perfectly awkward but endlessly supportive dad who somehow made the most cringe-inducing conversations feel wholesome. It's hard to imagine American Pie without Levy's pitch-perfect performance, but if he hadn't been given the freedom to rework the role, Jim's dad might have been remembered very differently. If you're enjoying this so far, hit that like button and subscribe for more awesome movie facts. And tell us in the comments, what movie brings you the most nostalgia, and which one should we cover next? Number 4. Stifler is based on a guy in jail. Steve Stifler, loud, obnoxious, and hilariously unfiltered, quickly became one of American Pie's most memorable characters. But his over-the-top personality wasn't entirely a Hollywood invention. Writer Adam Hertz has admitted that Stifler was inspired, at least in part, by a real person he knew, a guy who, by the time the film was being made, was actually serving time in jail. Hertz drew from this individual's outrageous bravado, wild stories, and complete lack of filter when crafting Stifler's lines and antics.
Yeah! Yeah, baby! Spank me! It's that high scene!
Of course, the on-screen version, brought to life by Cian William Scott, was exaggerated to fit the film's comedic tone, but the core life of the party who takes things too far energy came straight from reality. Knowing Stifler's roots makes some of his most chaotic moments even funnier, and maybe a little more believable than you'd think. Number 5. A body double had to be fired on set. Body doubles are a common tool in filmmaking, sometimes for dangerous stunts, other times for intimate scenes when actors prefer not to bear all. In American Pie, a body double was brought in for Jason Biggs during an adult scene with Allison Hanigan. The key requirement: the double's body had to match Biggs's closely enough to be convincing on camera. Unfortunately, this particular casting choice backfired. When the body double arrived on set, he had an unmistakable 8-inch scar running across his stomach, something that would have been glaringly obvious on screen. The oversight was so bad that the double was immediately let go. It's a rare and awkward example of the casting department skipping the most basic part of the job, making sure the double actually looked like the person they were doubling for. Number 6. The wrong Blink-182 drummer was credited. One of American Pie's most unforgettable gags comes when Jim's disastrous plan to secretly film Nadia spirals out of control. The footage, meant for a couple of friends, ends up broadcasting far beyond his circle, including to a few very familiar faces, the members of Blink-182. At the time, the band had just released their smash hit album Enema of the State, making their cameo a perfect pop culture nod. But there was one tiny problem: the credits got it wrong. The film lists Mark Hoppus, Thomas M. DeLonge, and Scott Rayner, the band's original drummer. In reality, the drummer in the scene was Travis Barker, who had replaced Rayner by then. It's a small slip-up, but it's forever immortalized in the credits, meaning American Pie technically features a cameo from a band lineup that didn't actually exist anymore. Number 7. Universal probably lost millions selling the foreign rights. When American Pie was in production, no one knew if it would be a hit. The cast was mostly unknown. The script had been written in just 6 weeks, and its raunchy humor was a gamble. Worried it might not translate well overseas, Universal Pictures made what seemed like a safe move at the time. They sold off the film's foreign distribution rights.
Right this way, sir.
That decision turned out to be a huge financial misstep. Far from flopping, American Pie exploded internationally, pulling in over $132 million at the foreign box office alone. One studio executive even called the decision to sell the rights moronic, especially given the movie's tiny budget and massive profit potential. In hindsight, Universal essentially gave away a gold mine, proof that sometimes the riskiest films can become the biggest global successes. Number 8. Allison Hanigan got the part because she really had to pee. Allison Hanigan's road to playing Michelle in American Pie came with an unexpected boost, bladder-related. During her callback audition, Hanigan desperately needed to use the bathroom. She dashed off right before her name was called, and when she returned, she barely had time to catch her breath before reading her lines.
Yes, and he was such a dork, and everyone laughed at me, but I didn't care because it was so funny.
The result? A performance that was quirky, high energy, and just a little chaotic. Exactly the vibe Michelle would bring to the movie. Hanigan later said she believed that unplanned burst of energy was what sealed the deal, making her stand out from other actresses who played the role more straight. That happy accident gave American Pie one of its most iconic characters, proving that sometimes the best auditions happen when you're too distracted to overthink it. In her case, an urgent bathroom break may have changed her career forever. Number 9. Nadia's Czech accent was tampered with in ADR. Shannon Elizabeth worked closely with a dialect coach to perfect Nadia's Czech accent before filming began. She put in hours to make it sound authentic, subtle enough to feel natural, yet strong enough to sell the idea that Nadia was an exchange student. But after production wrapped, things took a turn. During ADR, automated dialogue replacement sessions, the accent was softened in post-production, changing the way her performance came across. Elizabeth was devastated when she heard the final cut, even telling friends she thought the movie was going to flop because of the change. To her, it stripped away part of Nadia's charm and comedic edge. Still, her performance became one of the film's most memorable, and audiences largely embraced the character, accent tweaks and all. Elizabeth later admitted she only agreed to return for the sequels after getting a much bigger paycheck. Number 10. It initially earned an NC-17 rating. When American Pie was first submitted to the MPAA, it didn't just get an R. It was slapped with the dreaded NC-17 rating. The biggest offender?
I got company, if you know what I mean. She's hot.
The now iconic pie scene. In its original cut, the moment lingered a little too long, pushing it past what the ratings board considered acceptable for a theatrical comedy. An NC-17 would have been a death sentence at the box office, as many theaters refused to play films with that rating. The filmmakers went back into the editing room, trimming frames and toning down a few other scenes to squeak by with an R. The changes were minimal, but just enough to satisfy the MPAA. Ironically, the toned-down version still shocked audiences, proving that sometimes suggestion can be just as outrageous as showing everything. Number 11. Jason Biggs' fake erection was just a sausage and a pencil. One of Jim's most cringe-inducing moments in American Pie involves him getting caught in a very compromising situation with a very noticeable problem. But movie magic was at work. Instead of using some elaborate prosthetic, the crew went for a hilariously low-budget solution: a sausage taped to a pencil, wrapped in foil for hygiene. It was cheap, quick, and, most importantly, funny. Jason Biggs had to keep a straight face while delivering his lines, knowing the absurd contraption was sitting right under his clothes. It's the kind of bizarre behind-the-scenes detail that proves how much of filmmaking is about improvisation and practicality. In the end, the audience never suspected anything, though now you'll probably never watch that scene the same way again. Sometimes the funniest gags in movies start with the weirdest props imaginable. Number 12. Stifler was paid less than $10K. It's hard to imagine American Pie without Seann William Scott's outrageous, scene-stealing performance as Stifler. But when Scott signed on, he was still a complete unknown, and his paycheck reflected it. For the entire first movie, Scott was paid just $8,000. That's barely enough to buy a used car, let alone cover the cost of being immortalized as one of the most iconic characters in teen comedy history.
Yeah, I'll turn it around. What a dumbass! The lake's right there!
At the time, he didn't care. He just wanted the role and the chance to break into Hollywood. Of course, once American Pie exploded at the box office, Scott's paychecks for the sequels skyrocketed into the millions. Not bad for a character who started as the loud-mouthed party guy everyone loved to hate. Number 13. The high school is two schools in one. While American Pie is set at the fictional East Great Falls High in Michigan, the filmmakers actually used two different real schools to create it. Most of the exterior shots were filmed at Millikan High School in Long Beach, California, giving the movie its sunny, suburban look. But some of the interior scenes, like hallways and classrooms, were shot at Long Beach Polytechnic High School, just a few miles away.
Hey guys, came to watch me in action?
Yeah, I think you sounded pretty good.
This patchwork approach is common in Hollywood, allowing productions to pick and choose the best-looking spots for each scene. The funny part, if you look closely, you can sometimes spot tiny differences between the two locations, like locker styles or wall colors, that reveal the switch. Still, movie magic blends them seamlessly, and audiences are left believing it's all one perfectly cohesive high school. Number 14. Jim's dad was almost a creep until Eugene Levy stepped in. When Eugene Levy first read the script for American Pie, Jim's dad was written as a much creepier, borderline inappropriate character.
Oh, Jim.
Dad?
Hi, I was just looking at the old family portrait out here.
Levy didn't like it. He worried that audiences wouldn't laugh. They'd just feel uncomfortable. So before filming began, he made a deal with directors Chris and Paul Weitz. He would improvise much of his dialogue to make the character more awkwardly wholesome rather than unsettling. The result was comedy gold. Levy's off-the-cuff lines, nervous pauses, and fumbling attempts at the talk turned Jim's dad into one of the most lovable and quotable characters in the entire movie. Many of the funniest moments were completely unscripted, which is why they feel so natural. Without Levy's input, Jim's dad could have been a one-note gag instead of the endlessly endearing highlight he became. Number 15. East Great Falls was based on the writer's real high school. The fictional East Great Falls High School in American Pie wasn't just a random setting. It was directly inspired by writer Adam Hertz's own teenage years. Hertz grew up in East Grand Rapids, Michigan, and attended East Grand Rapids High School, which provided the blueprint for the movie's social cliques, awkward milestones, and even the school's layout. Many of the film's most relatable moments were pulled straight from real-life experiences and exaggerated for comedic effect. Even the name East Great Falls is a playful mashup of his hometown's name. By grounding the outrageous comedy in authentic high school memories, Hertz gave American Pie a dose of truth that helped it resonate with audiences. It may be full of wild, over-the-top situations, but at its core, the movie feels exactly like the kind of chaos that can happen in a real school hallway. Number 16. Michigan setting, California shooting. Although American Pie takes place in Michigan, not a single frame was filmed there. Instead, the production used locations around Southern California to stand in for the Midwest. Millikan High School in Long Beach provided the sunny exterior shots of East Great Falls High, while nearby Long Beach Polytechnic High was used for certain interiors like hallways and classrooms. The surrounding neighborhoods also doubled for the characters' homes. Careful set dressing, like adding fall leaves, helped disguise the California setting. The result was convincing enough that many fans assumed the movie was actually filmed in the Midwest. Number 17. The prom theme was picked to be the lamest ever. If you thought the Arabian Nights theme for American Pie's prom looked painfully outdated and awkward, you're right. In the DVD commentary, the producers admitted they intentionally chose it to be the absolute lamest prom theme ever. They wanted something that instantly signaled small-town high school awkwardness, with decorations that felt both over-the-top and oddly cheap. The mismatched props, gaudy fabric, and random exotic touches were all designed to make the prom feel more like a misguided school committee idea than a glamorous event.
He also told me that when he gets nervous, he sometimes wets his pants. Thank you for your time.
It ended up being the perfect backdrop for the film's finale. Awkward, slightly tacky, and full of moments the characters would look back on with equal parts nostalgia and embarrassment. In other words, the exact kind of prom most people actually remember. Number 18. The football game crowd was mostly cardboard cutouts. In the big football game scene, it looks like the stands are packed with cheering fans. But in reality, most of those people weren't people at all. The production didn't have the budget to hire hundreds of extras, so they filled the bleachers with life-sized cardboard cutouts dressed in real clothes. A small group of actual extras was placed in the middle, and through clever camera angles and quick cuts, it looked like a full stadium. If you pause and look closely in some wide shots, you can spot the still, unmoving fans in the background. It's an old-school filmmaking trick that saved thousands of dollars while still delivering the energy of a big high school game. Most viewers never noticed, proving how well the illusion worked. Number 19. Jason Biggs got heat stroke and zinc poisoning. Filming American Pie wasn't all laughs for Jason Biggs. During the scene where Jim sprints down the road to get home, Biggs ended up with heat stroke from running under the hot California sun. The crew had to pack his shirt with ice between takes to cool him down, and he was rushed to a doctor afterward. In another mishap, Biggs took too many zinc supplements at home, making himself so sick that he had to be completely written out of a scene where Kevin and Finch talk while Finch plays golf. Sometimes the biggest on-set disasters aren't even scripted. Number 20. Stiflers Pale Ale was beer mixed with egg whites. One of American Pie's most infamous gross-out moments comes when Stifler unknowingly drinks a beer that's been spiked in the worst possible way. On screen, it's played for maximum disgust, but the real concoction was still pretty unappetizing. Actual beer mixed with egg whites. The egg whites gave the drink the perfect cloudy, foamy look for the gag while being safe to consume. Even so, Cian William Scott wasn't exactly thrilled about chugging it down. He later admitted the texture was almost as bad as the joke implied, making his on-screen reaction just a little too real. And that's our list of 20 weird facts about American Pie. From heatstroke on set to the lamest prom theme ever dreamed up, this teen comedy's behind-the-scenes stories are just as outrageous as what made it onto the screen. Whether you grew up quoting "this one time at band camp" or still cringe every time you think about Stifler's Pale Ale, there's no denying American Pie left its mark on pop culture.